Looking to trade your old bulk for some of the latest Pokemon booster boxes? Well, check ccgcastle.com. The process is very simple. Send in 1400 cards and get a brand new sealed booster box back. We ship boxes worldwide for free once we get your cards. Make sure to check video description or check ccgcastle.com for more information. Looking to grade your Pokemon cards and you don't know how to do it? Check out Ludkins Collectables and grade your Pokemon cards with zero risk. Check video description or visit ludkinscollectables.com for more. How's it going, Poké Trainers? Once again, welcome back to Pokemon TCG Center. In today's video, we'll be basically looking at deck for the expanded format. In my opinion, one of the best decks that can be used in expanded format. It's a Nightmarch featuring some other deck cards like Marshadow GX, for example, like Tauros and Oranguru, for example. So the interesting thing about this deck is definitely that Marshadow GX card that actually allows you to use that Shadow Hunt ability, and basically as long as you have enough energies to basically use one of your Pokemons in a discard pile attack, you can basically copy that attack as the Shadow Hunt. It's pretty cool. I mean, in my opinion, it's a very interesting deck to be used. I mean, the Nightmarch card was first time introduced back in 2014. The set was, of course, what is it? Phantom Force? Yes, of course, it's a Phantom Force set. So today is 2017. Well, we are close to 2018, so almost 4 years old deck archetype is still around. The biggest threat for the Nightmarch deck, of course, as well for Westpick and Flareon, is the Karen. So Karen is a very powerful card, but we have a lot of different cards that can actually help us against Karen. So let's start first with the Pokemon lineup. I'm running one copy of Oranguru because I kind of like that Instruct. It can help a lot. Then for the backup attacker, and of course for that GX attack, I'm using one copy of Tauros GX because even with Tauros in my discard pile, I can easily use Marshadow GX attack. Then of course one copy of Marshadow GX, which makes a lot of sense. And I kind of like Marshadow GX in this build mainly for two different reasons. The first reason why I'm running Marshadow is, of course, because I can hit for the weakness those Darkrai decks, for example, which is a huge thing because expanded format is meant to be played by Darkness decks because they are very powerful. So this is the reason why Marshadow is actually very powerful. But also because I can copy as well that Mad Bull GX, so we can take a couple easy price cards. In addition to that, I'm also running one copy of Tapu Lele with the Wonder tag. So basically, with the Tapu Lele, at any time when we play it from our hand to the bench, we can search our deck for one copy of the supporter card. Then, of course, two copies of Muse with Memories of Down. Kind of good card because it can also help us a lot to have that free retreat, but it can also copy for example, Nightmarchers, so we can use Nightmarch deck on the Joltik and Pupkaboo. For double Chorus Energy, of course, if there is Dimension Wall in play, so we can also hit those Psychic Pokemons for the weakness. So we can hit decks like Psychic for the weakness. Of course, we can do that even with the Pupkaboo, but then we need to have Dimension Wally for sure, where on the other side, if we have just, for example, Joltik on our bench, we don't need to have, for example, Dimension Wally. But also, you can help us to have even more damage counters, more damage output to our opponent Pokemon in play, because we can have more Nightmarchers in discard pile. For example, we can also copy Tauros, for example, for the Mad Bull, but since Mew is only 50 HP, it's not going to be that good. Also running a couple Shaymin EX cards, of course, running 3 copies of Shaymin EX, so I can have enough resources for the setup. It's very important also for the late game, just in case if our opponent decide to basically shuffle with the Cairn our Pokemons back into our deck, we can always just play Shamans and recover. Of course, 4 copies of each Nightmarchers, 4 copies of Joltik, 4 copies of Poopkaboo, and 4 copies of Lampants. If you're new to the game and you're not familiar with the Nightmarch, it's pretty broken card. Before the Cairn was released, that card was just devastating. And basically, for each Nightmarcher in our discard pile, that attack will does 20 damage counters. So let's say we have like, okay, I need to move that a little bit right there. So let's say we have like 11 Nightmarchers and 1 in the active position. We can hit for like 220. That's a lot of damage counters. The good thing about this deck is simply the fact that for the Ace Trainer card, I'm running Live Dew instead of Computer Search or Dowsing Machine. So if our opponent is not capable to remove Live Dew from our active, let's say Poopkaboo, Joltik, or Mew, he's not going to be able, after he take the knockout, to take prize card, which can be a huge thing in a deck like this. So the Ace pack is, of course, a Live Dew. So in addition to that, I'm running 1 copy of Special Charge, so I can shuffle back to DC is from my discard pile back into my deck. In addition to that, of course, 1 copy of Field Blower, so we can basically discard Stadium from play if it's necessary, or any other 2 tools from our opponent or our Pokemon in play. Then the tech card that I'm also running in this deck is a Focus Sash. So Focus Sash is mainly here for the Marshadow GX, and the good thing about Focus Sash is the fact that if the defending Pokemon is, of course, fighting Pokemon, and if it's gonna be knocked out by a single shot, and if that Pokemon HP is a full HP, we can just discard Focus Sash instead of knocking out our Marshadow and just leave him with 10 HP. So that's just amazing, because with the Live Dew and Focus Sash, our opponent will have even more trouble finding a way to take prize cards against us. So that's just insane. Of course, 1 copy of Escape Probe, because it can help a lot. And I kind of like Escape Probe card. 1 copy of Pearl City. You're probably going to ask yourself why I'm running 1 copy of Pearl City in this deck. And this is mainly because I can clear my bench space discarding my Shamans, so I can just, reduces the chances for my opponent to take possibly 2 prize cards. Of course, 2-dimension Wallies, trust me, we don't need more than 2-dimension Wallies. Before, 4 copies of Dimension Wallies in the past was a staple, but these days 2 is just enough. 3 copies of Trainer's Mails, still pretty good card for the Nightmarch deck. Trust me, I kind of like it, as well as 3 copies of VS Seekers. So probably right now somebody will say you really need to run 4 copies of Versus Seekers. I'm probably gonna agree with that, but since I was looking forward to find best consistency and more space to tech some other cards like Focus Sash, like Escape Probe, like Pearl City and stuff like that, I decided basically to tech 3 copies of Versus Seeker, and this is mainly the reason because I'm running 4 copies of Puzzle of Times. And by 2 copies of Puzzle of Time at the same time, I can easily recover any 2 cards from my discard pile. So if I need support a card, I can easily take it. Of course, 4 copies of Battle Compressor. This is how this deck works. By Battle Compressor, we can just discard 9 Marches in a discard pile, and then for each 9th Marcher, we can hit for 20 damage counters. 4 copies of Puzzle of Time, of course, one of the probably best cards for deck like this, because why Puzzle of Time is so important in this deck, in my opinion, especially with the Focus Sash and Live Dew, is simply because if our opponent can knock out our Pokemon with the Live Dew, he's not going to be able to take prize card, and we can simply trade 2 Puzzle of Times and take again Live Dew from our discard pile, put it back into our hand, and attach again to one of our Pokemons. Now, it can even be attached to our GX or EX Pokemon, so we can reduce price taken by 1, or we can just simply attach again Live Dew to Joltik, Poopkaboo, Mew, or maybe Oranguru, and basically force our opponent to take the knockout without taking a prize card, which is just insane. 4 copies of Ultra Ball. Discard 2 cards from your hand. If you can do that, you can simply search a deck for any Pokemon. very important, mainly because with the Ultra Ball I can search Tapu Lele, Marshadow, Tauros, Oranguru, Shaymin, any Pokemon from the list that you can see right here. Supporter line, well, speaking about supporter line, I decided to go with one copy of Hex Maniac. It's pretty good. If I can set up turn 1 and if my opponent is going second, I can just play Hex Maniac turn 1 and that's it. So there's no chance that he can actually set up. Especially good against Trevenant. Trust me, you're going to need it. One copy of Teammates. I actually like Teammates, mainly because when I get knocked out, I can simply grab myself any 2 cards from my deck that I need. So Teammates can easily be grabbed for 2 pieces of puzzles. I'm also running one copy of Lysander and one copy of Guzma. Probably you're going to see the deck list with 2 Guzmas. I decided to go with one Lysander and one Guzma just because sometimes I'm not gonna be able to retreat after I use my Guzma, and sometimes Lysander is just gonna be much better. One copy of N, as well as 4 copies of Professor Juniper. So yeah, only 5 drop supporters, but it makes a lot of sense mainly because I'm already running like okay, so it's a little bit out of the range. Let's just then put Professor Juniper right here, mainly because, you know, 4 copies of Professor Junipers and 1 copy of N, more than enough, just because we have a VE Seeker, we have Puzzle of Time, so we can just recycle in the back easily, and of course 4 copies of Double Core Energies, which will conclude this deck for 60 cards in total. Probably you're gonna ask yourself why I'm not running that Giratina with ability that can actually prevent my opponent Pokemons from being able to spread damage counters around with break Pokemons. Yeah, that card can definitely be attacking this build. The reason why I didn't include it inside is mainly mainly because of the reason that nobody in my area is playing Trevenant Break, but I even think how you really don't need that. If you can actually set up pretty fast, even with just a single Tauros GX, you can beat your opponent Trevenant deck with too many problems, because you can just, you know, knock out your opponent Trevenant with let's say Mad Bull GX, then turn after that with the Rage, and then later you can just find yourself 1 or 2 Nightmarches and then just take a couple more prize cards for the victory. So that's pretty much it. Overall, I kind of like this deck. I kind of like the idea. It's pretty cool. I really like the Nightmarch deck. It's a lot of fun to play with it in the expanded format. It's not a hard deck to be played, so if you're new to the Pokemon trading card game, you should definitely try to build something like this, because it's pretty cool, pretty consistent, very good, very strong, and it's friendly to use. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Make sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more videos. Let me also know what you think in the comments below about this deck. Make sure also to check ccgcastle.com and ludkinscollectable.com if you're looking for Pokemon cards or if you're looking for great servicing. You can find that in my video description. So once again, have a nice day. Until the next time, we'll see you in the next video. So goodbye.